Welcome to another video, Purple Political Talk here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has impacted, changed, and shaped the 2020 presidential election. Before we get started, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be up to date with our latest content. So, let's get started. So at this point in time, we could say that easily the COVID-19 pandemic has been the biggest issue of this election, and I mean with reason, because over 200,000 Americans have lost their lives due to COVID-19 or complications due to COVID-19, and not only that, but the economic downfall that our nation had over the months of March and April, coming back up in May. Those things really have impacted with national lockdowns that really have affected every single American in one way or the other. This is one of the issues in our nation that truly has impacted the all Americans. Well, and if you look at it in many different ways, recessions, they affect some people more than others. If you look at healthcare, well, the healthcare affects some people more than others. But this completely different to past election issues. This has something to do with the whole nation as a whole, with which pretty much everyone has direct hand experience with the virus, whether it be knowing someone that has the virus, having the virus yourself, having to lock down, having to remotely learn. All these different things really have impacted the election. And pretty much like I've said, it's because everyone has had first-hand experience. Now, when it comes to this election, the two major things that have impacted, like I've said, are the loss and the numerical deaths, numerical cases, as well as the economy, which really has kind of come down to how Americans view and believe in trickle-down economics. So, just taking a look at what things have changed, let's take a look at the electoral map back in March, where we saw a pretty good showing on the Republican side compared to looking at past midterm results, looking at some of the polling data we did have. We could say that the electoral map looks something like this. A 269 electoral tie was very, very in the realm of possibility at that point in time in the election back in March. However, over the path of the summer, over the path of election season, where we have the other issues than the COVID-19 pandemic, adding on to like the Black Lives Matter movement, the peace deals amongst these big Gulf areas, Arabian Gulf areas, those nations, all those things have definitely impacted the election. And of course, those are additional factors to the COVID-19 pandemic. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, majoritarily, the electoral map has shifted a lot, turned blue and a lot more darker blue. So just look to do quick comparisons here. A lot of these areas have definitely changed a lot. And if you look at it, March to where it is now, the Democrats have gained ground. We could see that is because of many different reasons, mostly because since Donald Trump was president during this time, he is going to be the person that's going to become at fault for what the country did as a whole. Now, what are some of the people's worries with the COVID-19 pandemic? First of all, life loss of loved ones. And of course, that's going to be a very big issue because whenever Americans lose their lives, very unfortunate. Whether it is homicide, natural causes, an accident, all these different things, one loss of an American life is very bad. And looking at how that's been multiplied by a factor of 200,000 and counting, I think that's really going to hit with the heartstrings of many Americans. And like I said before, since many Americans have first-hand experience with this virus, because changes to their lives, even contracting the viruses themselves, I think truly at this point in time, it's going to be in the minds of voters when they go in and cast their ballot in the ballot box. And also, I mean, it has affected the candidates themselves. Joe Biden is perfectly fine, but when it comes to Donald Trump, President of the United States, has contracted the virus. This shows how serious this is in a way because the most protected person of the earth, or pretty much one of them, has contracted the virus. Even though you're so protected, doesn't mean that you're immune. And with him in the hospital at Walter Reed Medical Center, that's opened the eyes to at least other Americans who maybe have been calling it off a little bit because of many other reasons, which I'm not going to get to in this video. Now, when it comes to how it has changed it, it's mostly because like I said, the economy. So if you look at the Midwest, you're going to see a lot more blue or lighter shades of red, because this is an area of the country that traditionally votes mostly on the economy. They focus a lot on the economy. They care a lot about the economy. And truly, this is middle-class America, stereotypically. If you were to think of one general area of the country that represents middle-class America, you would think of this general Midwest area. And, I mean, it's pretty simple. We see it right here. We see how the Republicans have lost some of their ground. Democrats are gaining rapidly. Now take a look at some other areas. Look at this general Sunbelt area right here. This area has been impacted more by the numerical deaths, because in the Rust Belt there have been deaths, there have been cases. However, the impact here is more economic, and they're running more in the economic factor. However, in the Sunbelt right here, we're going to see a big trend similar to what we see in the Rust Belt, where a lot of more blue shows up on the map. However, it's mostly because of numerical deaths in addition to the economy. This has been the hardest hit area of this pandemic. Arizona, Florida, Texas, Georgia, all have been COVID-19 hotspots. And that is going to be increasing the chances of someone having a personal connection to the to voters or to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that is one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of big change for the Democrats here. And mostly, why has this affecting the Republican Party? Mostly because Donald Trump is the one in power right now. He's the one in charge. Whenever you're president of the United States, whatever goes wrong or right with the country, it's pretty much up to you, and it's because of decisions that you made. Many people look at this in different ways. People interpret it in many different ways, but generally speaking, the Democratic Party has used COVID-19 to their favor, and they're showing somewhat how Donald Trump has been, quote-unquote, irresponsible by their management. And then also we have the Republicans saying that it's not their fault. It's really up to, like, nature. And all those different things come into voters' heads. And that's one of the reasons we see a lot of blue. And I think truly this COVID-19 pandemic is what changed this election and pretty much put it on a silver platter for Biden. If the COVID-19 pandemic didn't happen, we would be living in a very different world where wearing masks wouldn't be compulsory, where we could go out freely without being worried of catching this bug, this virus. And of course, things would have been very different. And this election would also add on to the list of things that would have been different. We could have seen a very close election. And other issues would have hit the spotlight more than they did because they're being overshadowed by this pandemic. So overall, the COVID-19 pandemic really had an impact on this election. 200,000 Americans died. Millions of Americans are being infected. And overall, very, very sad times for our country. And it's really up to, this is a referendum on President Trump and his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, where usually re-election campaigns come down to the referendum on the president, on other things like the more bigger campaign issues that usually, or not more bigger, but the more traditional campaign issues that you would see, like the economy, education, healthcare, foreign policy. All of those things are going out the window this election. COVID-19, maybe Black Lives Matter, are the biggest things during this election. So overall, this is a very solemn video to make because, again, you're dealing with reporting so many deaths of Americans and how it's impacted a political process. However, it's something that needs to be talked about, and I really hope that if you have lost someone from COVID-19, that everything is fine, and as a nation, we will be able to move forward together. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a huge thumbs up, like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be up to date with our latest content. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe, and goodbye.